Hello, everybody. Welcome to the latest episode of Without Context Podcast. I almost said Without Test Context.
Yeah,
It's been a day.
it has been several months. We've
It has.
and now, but also since we moved the wrestling podcast off of the main show feed and onto its own show now, I was like, well, we really need to start making some episodes again for this one. It's been since May, so it's kind of a impromptu episode. We brought Luke back here. You guys remember him from some of our DM Roundtable episodes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we wanted to get him here to talk about a fundraiser that their live stream is doing, and I will be taking part in. It's a nice little D&D PvP tournament.
Yeah.
Right now, scheduled for what, 3 hour-ish stream.
Mm-hmm.
Give or take.
Usually about 3 hours. Take a little 5-10 minute break somewhere in the middle there. Yeah.
And since this tournament structure, I asked you before we started recording, I was like, how long do you expect this to take? It's a tournament setup, but we'll get onto that. But yes, they are doing a fundraiser for sameu.org, which I had never heard of until you guys had mentioned it. I looked it up. It's a a memory is it a memories fundraising thing for what I believe head injuries.
So I guess we can let's start with SameU. That's the important part here. So sameu.org is a really awesome foundation. You can totally just check them out. They have a really awesome intuitive website to see exactly what's going on. But essentially it's a foundation that was founded by Emilia Clarke after she had suffered a brain aneurysm while filming season 3 of Game of Thrones. There's that iconic scene where she's like handing off the dragon for the army of the Unsullied, and then the dragon. When they were filming that scene, she actually had a massive brain aneurysm, and obviously she survived, but she found that the support for people who survive those types of traumatic brain injuries was extremely minimal, and they're really severe, life-changing sorts of debilitating injuries. And so she founded this organization to help fund research and support for people who have survived. And then as it's grown over the years, obviously that was going on, I think, pretty close to 10 years ago. The foundation has gained so much traction that they're now researching what causes these sorts of traumatic brain injuries. How do we prevent them? Is there any sort of care to better treat them as they're happening? And it's a really beautiful thing. They have a lot of different sort of support networks and doctors and neuroscientists, psychologists. It's this really beautiful conglomeration of all different sorts of experts and a lot of people coming forward and sharing their story of their issues or their injuries and how they've kind of gotten back to a new normal sense of life. They're really big all over Instagram, Facebook, social media, everywhere. And it's a really powerful and really awesome foundation that I think would be really cool to support. So if you let's get a little heavy here. This is going to be a little sad, so we'll just kind of break the ice early here. So for those of you who don't know, I think a lot of people in the sort of old school TAC community were aware of this, but we're actually doing this in memory of my late wife, who had a brain aneurysm in 2019, and she actually passed away. And so the whole concept of TAC and this ongoing Tealeaf Adventuring Company stream is sort of based off of a lot of the characters that her and I had built together, the world her and I had built together, and so it's sort of in her memory. And September is actually Brain Aneurysm Awareness Month, and so it was all kind of fell together, with the timing and everything. And I thought this would be a really cool thing to do.
Yeah, I think you had mentioned that the last time we had you on the show, but I don't think we ever got into the cause of it, just given the nature of the conversation. But I did want to ask if that was related. I see that there is like a personal drive to further the research into this.
Absolutely, yeah. Obviously, I think a lot of the majority of the support goes to people who have survived these type of injuries and kind of getting them back to a new normal. But they do look into sort of preventative measures and then just general understanding of how these sort of things come to be. And so it's a really, really, really powerful and really awesome cause.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I'm not well versed in medical. I know a lot of our tech fellows are in the healthcare field and everything. And aneurysms, I think, are different than, you know, strokes and stuff like that, right? It's a different, or is it fall in like the same vein of injuries?
They're very similar in how they kind of come to be with blood clots, and sort of it has to do a lot with like the walls of your blood vessels. I mean, I could go into a lot of medical detail on it, but
Yeah.
no, it's all sorts of you know, even something as simple as a concussion. You know, someone's playing football and bonks their head. If that's not properly tended to, or you know, the long-term sort of sustained treatment, that can be a life-altering injury.
Is that a CTE? I think.
Yes, a lot of that sort of stuff
Yeah,
too.
as Deck and I, as wrestling fans, you know, we have a knowledge of that. I mean, unfortunately, as a fan, we encounter things like Chris Benoit in the past, who, you know, tragically killed his family. Even at his age, they said he had the brain of like what a 70-year-old Alzheimer sufferer because of how many just head injuries he took during his career.
Yeah, you know, it's pretty wild that, you know, with modern medicine and technology and everything, really the human brain is still one of the least understood things in the universe to us.
Yeah.
It's just so vastly complex that you know, it's only in recent years that we're starting to even break the ice as to understanding a lot of these sort of things. So
I mean, it's kind of hard to study something that needs to like stay in somebody's head when they're living. Like you can't just like take it out and be like, all right, we're gonna run some tests while you're functioning. You know, it's like,
and yet, I have a similar. I don't think the same. It goes in the same vein, say, but I think I said this on the podcast before. But my older brother has cerebral palsy, and has just very little to no nerve control in his body, and all of that. Most of that will stemmed from, I believe, the way my mom described it is that he just came out like, you know, without any oxygen, and kind of, you know, those first like formative seconds without oxygen are just the worst, and that also leads to brain damage.
Yeah, I mean, just a lack of oxygen, you know, in general can, you know, affect somebody's mental state and everything.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's why strokes are so bad. That's cutting off the circulation of like, you know, oxygen, like blood flow and oxygen going to, you know, your brain and everything also.
Yeah, it's all very, very serious and pretty real stuff that, you know, unfortunately, I mean, I'm pretty sure everyone's heard of someone having a stroke, but you know, aneurysms are kind of this sort of nebulous, mysterious thing that happens, but they're surprisingly common, and they happen to people of all ages, old, young, man, woman, you know, anything. And so I think it's definitely good that this foundation sort of brings a broader awareness to that, and sort of the risks associated with it. And you know, again, I think a big part of it, that I like that it's a dual faceted drive, in that it's that, yes, this very unfortunate thing has happened to someone. How do we take care of them? And how do we prevent these terrible things from happening in the first place? So,
yeah,
very, very cool.
Yeah, it's definitely a good fundraiser to support. Like I said, I had just recently heard about them, but, you know, I was like, this is still a good cause just from how frequent something like this can happen to, you know, people, and somebody is bound to know somebody who has suffered a stroke or a brain aneurysm, especially as you go through life and we all get older and stuff like that. You know, the risks continue to, you know, build up just from age.
Yeah.
So we're doing that fundraiser through means of a PvP D&D 5e tournament, which
about the fun stuff.
Somebody who has run PvP D&D in 5e, it's not necessarily a balanced thing.
No, so that's one thing I wanted to sort of so for a little bit of background context. There has been a push for some form of PvP in the Tealeaf Adventuring Company for years now. I definitely understand the drive. It's a fun, competitive, sort of goofy thing. You know, you want to see what your character can do, and you want to see what your buddy can do, and And I've always kind of tiptoed around it for that very reason, is that this is going to be really difficult to attempt to balance. As a general,
like 100 feet away from you is just you're killing everyone in front of you.
Right. As a general, just blanket statement, D&D 5th edition is not designed for PvP. It's designed for player versus monsters, or players against DM kind of thing.
I think D&D is just not designed for PvP.
Right. That being said, with that in mind, because the demand was so great and the timing was here and we could make it all one big thing, I sort of, I'll say reluctantly agreed at first, with the caveat that this is not going to be balanced. This is going to be goofy, fun, just wacky kind of thing. And with I think a kind of an important subtext to it, that the goal of this is to have fun, and the goal of this is to raise money for this charity, right?
Yeah.
That's not to say that there aren't incentives to win, which we can talk about later. But one thing that I did not want to do, I think any group of humans, when you get together, if you hang out long enough, there's drama that develops, and our little corner of the internet has had its fair share of drama, which we don't have to get into. But I didn't want this to be a source of drama. I kind of wanted to say, guys, I appreciate you. We're going to do this. Let's all just be cool. Let's have fun. Let's raise money. But please, let's not get sweaty or butthurt or any sort of negative kind of thing about it. And again, I think there's a healthy balance that you can get competitive and be invested and want to win and maintain that friendly, fun atmosphere. And I do think we have a really, really solid, awesome group of people participating, and I don't anticipate there will be any issues whatsoever. But I did kind of have to take out the mean DM fist for a little bit and kind of say, hey, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this my way. So yeah. That being said, with all of that kind of pre-disclosure kind of thing, I did put a lot of time and love into doing my best to balance this. Now, we've got 6 teams of 2 participating in sort of a round-robin style tournament, and so the goal is that every team is going to fight every other team exactly once, and then at the end of it, the best sort of win-loss record takes the cake. So when I was dividing up these teams, I had a lot of different factors involved. I think first and foremost, obviously, character level. We have a lot of different characters.
Yeah, because to refresh from the last time, you run a West Marches style game.
Yes, so
with rotating party, so people are going to get different amounts of XP as time goes on. Some people will be higher level, some people will be fresh into it. We're all kind of in the same ballpark, but there is a level or 2 separation between a lot of people.
Right.
So
for this tournament, I believe our lowest level characters are level 4, and we have a few level 10s. So that's kind of the gap we're talking about, with everything in between. And so what I tried to do is I tried to first and foremost balance the average level of each duo. And obviously the math didn't work out perfectly, but I did pretty good. Second thing I considered is in our West Marches campaign, we feature a lot of homebrew items, abilities, things of that nature.
You made me a mill tank.
I made you a mill tank, yes.
I got a suit of armor that basically made me Whitney's mill tank from Gold and Silver. Like, I can roll up and run into people for up to 6 turns.
I desperately needed context on that.
Yes.
Yeah, my Kobold it can roll up and he just does roll out for 5 turns.
So one thing I try to do in our West Marches campaign is, if you save up enough points and you participate for long enough, you can unlock a backstory mission specifically tailored to your character. And as a reward for that, you get a specifically tailored artifact. And these are typically very customized, very powerful, kind of character-defining items. For example, making a mill tank out of a kobold.
Well, I have a companion. I think the context is I have a companion, pangolin, with me. So I just kind of have like the armadillo energy going on with my companion me.
So I did try to account for that too, because not every character participating in the tournament has their artifact unlocked yet. And so if we had a team that was a little bit higher on the average level side, I tried to partner people with someone who like didn't have an artifact yet, just to kind of keep the power levels a little bit close that way.
Yeah.
The third thing I tried to do is get a good variety of different classes meshing together. That being said, certain teams are very magic heavy, certain teams are more melee oriented, and so I think there's like a good balance of different vibes going on with each team. Because I feel that in certain cases you kind of get into a rock paper scissors sort of situation with D&D classes. Like I expect this class to beat this class to beat this class kind of thing. But I tried to space that out and have fun with it. And then I guess the last factor in dividing up these teams, I tried to grab people that maybe wouldn't have normally interacted. Or people I thought would like have like good synergy or a good dynamic, just kind of getting to know all of my players. And so I partnered people up based on that too.
I messaged Gregor, by the way, and I was like, I'm gonna apologize for being a level 6 basic bitch fighter going into this. I was like, bro, I can just run up and hit things. That's all I can do. Like I have nothing else going for me, so I apologize to him just to start this off.
I have to say, as somebody who has run tournaments in the past, that I'm immediately like vibing with how you're choosing to like divide people up, and not quite going for balance, more going for like like you mentioned, people who haven't interacted before. Mm-hmm. I used to run tournaments that were based on the player's elo rating.
Okay.
And that wasn't super bad. That got into complications of like Smurfs and stuff, but sure. I mean, people are going to try to find a way to get free stuff no matter what.
Right.
But shout outs to Jeremy.
Those league tournaments were a mess. Like you had a bunch of silvers and golds, and then you'd have like the team with like some bronze and like one diamond player who would just carry the team. Like
that is kind of how that went.
And it's just there'd
be a team of like 5 golds, and then there'd be a team of like 2 plats and a couple of bronzes. I'm like, that's close enough.
Yeah, it was we did our best.
Yes, we did our best with what we had. But part of the charm that I liked about it is that we generally fostered a community that didn't, was as drama free as we could be. Of course, there was shit that happens because, of course, it did.
We could do a whole like 3-part episode on our old communities.
I know, but the point I'm getting at is that they also did not interact prior to the moment that they signed up for the tournament together.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think I resonate the most with that as you're describing the participants.
I ran one PvP tournament in D&D and spent 2 days apologizing. Like it was not good. Like there was just some people that were not chill about it. So
we had a very sweaty person on there.
Yeah, I was like, I'm just gonna get these people out of the server real quick, and just spent like 2 days apologizing. Like
just sweeping them out.
Yeah, no, I genuinely trust the group of people we've got going right now and all the participants, and I'm really hoping that it doesn't come to that. But again, I've got that banhammer ready, so we'll deal with it as it comes. I'm not anticipating any issues, so. But yeah, I've been putting a lot of love into that over the last couple of weeks, just sort of brainstorming ideas, and then finally kind of pen to paper, or I guess mouse to mouse pad. It's all on Roll20. I'm like 99% done. I just got to put the finishing touches on it, and I've been working really close with Weewoo, who's sort of my co-star here in TAC, and trying to make it seamless and polished and a good production value. Because it makes it interesting because Weewoo himself is participating in the tournament, and so I didn't want to give him too much sort of insider knowledge on this. So a lot of the burden's kind of fallen onto me as far as the stream setup and everything, which Weewoo's been a great teacher. I'm not super tech savvy when it comes to that stuff, but I'm feeling pretty confident about it. So we've got 6 different maps available for all of these different showdowns. And what I've done is I've taken inspiration from a lot of the different regions or iconic areas that we've visited over the course of the last 3 years.
You made levels. Like
I made levels, yeah.
Let's go.
So like There's a map. I don't want to give too much away, but there's a map like in the Howling Wood, which was sort of like a really iconic sort of starter zone in the early days. There's a map in the Lexigrad sewers, sort of this like dark tunnel sort of vibe that we visited.
If you want to get into more like spoilery stuff, we'll have Sharky take off his headphones real quick. I'm not in the tournament. I want to hear
it when I edit. Like,
no, you won't.
But yeah, so there's 6 in total, and I've put a lot of love into each one. And again, I think it'll be really amazing to see how much the map and the environment impacts the fights too, because like Deca was saying, if you've got a wizard 100 feet away from you and you're just a little fighter, that puts you at a pretty severe disadvantage to start. But then there's other maps that are just like very close quarters right away in your face. And so I tried to keep that in mind too when I was kind of level designing, as it were, what maps are going to favor what sort of classes. Something like a rogue needs a lot of space to hide or break cover kind of thing. And so I had a lot of fun with that, and I think the end result is pretty polished and pretty clean.
You have time for a suggestion, as it's like happening tonight.
Tomorrow. Yeah. So yes, that's another. Depending on when you watch this episode, it could be happening tomorrow, tonight, right now, or has already happened. So,
but
I hope to have this out the day before. This is kind of like a last minute, like impromptu thing. So if you are watching this on Wednesday night when this goes live, drop into the stream tomorrow. I'm gonna have all the links in the description and all that. And we'll also give them at the end of the episode. If you're watching on Thursday, just check the time, drop in, see if anything's going on, see what our, fundraiser goals are, give a little bit if you can. And if you're watching this episode after, the foundation's always there so that you can, donate to. So,
yep. So I was thinking, what if you had the players' knowledge of the maps, or a general broad strokes about the maps, they just drafted it League of Legends style.
Well, so what I was thinking is, because we're going to have 6 teams, you do the math, that'd be 15 fights total, right? If every team fights every other team. So with 6 maps, that generally means that each team should fight on each map once. And so, in a way, that does incentivize you. And obviously, I think it's just kind of smart strategy for players who aren't actively fighting to be watching the stream and learning some of the maps and seeing, what are we in store for, start strategizing, maybe using a little bit of that knowledge to their advantage. But the first teams on each map are going to be kind of fresh, just no idea what's coming. So that all is kind of a really interesting factor in a lot of the balancing and sort of the metagame knowledge. But we'll see how that goes too. Some of the maps have sort of dynamic lighting aspects to it, and so
you anticipate having a stream delay?
So that's actually a really good idea. One sort of like honor code sort of system that I was more thinking of was like, if you're actively in the fight, because the stream will be from my perspective, so it'll be DM view, so I'll be able to see everything, but the players will be their character view. And one thing that I am making a point to do when we stream TAC in general, I kind of have I like to call it party view. So every player usually has control of every other player's token, so you can see what everyone sees. So your individual character might not have dark vision, but if the elf in front of you does, we let you see what that elf sees, just because it's assumed that your party's communicating, stuff like that, and it just kind of makes it speeds the game up a little bit. Doesn't kind of get clunked down.
Yeah.
In this, when vision becomes very important and you're not allied with everybody else, I'm gonna have to go and manually take that permission away from everyone, so it's gonna be just you that can see your token. And so even, I'll use this Lexigrad Sewers example. You might not start off right next to your partner.
Yeah.
So there'll be sort of a navigating this labyrinth, and do you run into your partner first, or do you run into an opponent first, and how is that going to all play out? And so that'll be really fun. I'm looking forward. I'm that map is probably the one I'm looking most forward to. Maybe one other, but that one's going to be a wild card.
Every game is a sewer map.
Correct.
Like
Exactly correct. You hear that, game designers?
Every old retro first-person shooter has a sewer level. Everything has a sewer
There's no
level.
underwater level. There's no underwater level, so that's
Thank
good.
God.
Minecart levels.
Yes. But speaking of wild cards, one other aspect of this that I put in there just to kind of spice things up a little bit, is considering the fact that we have some very high level characters and some rather lower level characters in here, I wanted each character to have the potential to be influential in the fight, if that makes sense. Whereas if I'm a level 10 wizard and my partner is a level 4 barbarian, I don't want those lower level players to feel outshined. And so what I've done is I've included on every map a number of chests that players can discover open for loot. And they'll contain things like healing potions or consumables or spell scrolls. I've created 3 different tables of possible loot that you'll roll when you open the chest. Again, kind of have that RNG element to it there. Kind of take any sort of bias or any sort of pre-designed sort of thing out of it. Just you're rolling and that's what you get. And I think certain teams will really benefit from prioritizing those chests, because there's the potential to get some really, really powerful stuff in there. I've tried to include a lot of consumables or items that we featured as rewards during the West Marches campaign, so a lot of it might be a little bit familiar. There's a few things that are relatively new here. I don't want to spoil too much, but things that we haven't seen just yet. That'll be a lot of fun to play with. So definitely keep that in mind when you're if you're watching this and you're getting the scoop on things. Definitely scope out those chests, because they can be game changers for sure.
I'm going to assume that the ability to use the thing that got my first character killed is not going to be feasible here.
You mean the AAA triple R?
Yeah, the reality warping gun that characters have. That is what killed my first character.
I'm gonna plead the fifth on that.
This is gonna get chaotic.
It's gonna get chaotic. And I'm all freaking for it. It's gonna be awesome.
To be fair, it was like.
I have a.
Oh, you go ahead.
Yeah, I had a game, just purely from a game design standpoint, as a DM, and it has someone who doesn't really like doing PvP. So you have a team that goes to one of the chests, picks it up, rolls a dice, gets an item, runs off. Someone else comes to that chest. Is it open or closed?
That's a very fascinating concept. Because you could. Are you
going full Mario? Are you going full Mario Kart, or are you just like, oh, it's gone?
You could theoretically lay a trap if you were so inclined.
Theoretically.
That's. I mean, if you had the time, that's the other factor. But that's interesting. Now you got the wheels turned off. My initial thought would that it would just be open, or sort of the chest would despawn.
Sure.
Just to kind of keep it,
Yeah.
But on certain maps, we'll see. That could be interesting. That being said, as far as the logistics and the sort of the mechanics of how this is going to work, all the players and myself are going to be in the same voice chat, and so you're going to be taking turns in initiative. And so even though you can't see you might not be able to see what your enemies are doing, you'll still be able to hear them. And so you would hear, okay, you opened a chest and this is the loot you got. And so there's almost that building tension of oh shit, they just got, I don't know, a greater healing potion. I got to keep that in mind when I eventually bump into them.
Is that something you're going to just say out loud? Oh, you rolled this, you got a greater healing potion.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
You're going to see the little feed. Player has found. Player has found.
Yeah,
player has found.
Right. I've actually got the tables in Roll20 that'll just be open, totally transparent. This is what you're rolling, and this is what you can possibly get. That'll be available for everybody to look at. Okay. So I kind of want to keep it all fair. Let the dice gods decide fate in that sort of element. And everybody has the same fair chance to get some awesome stuff. And some of the stuff's, I will say, I think everything in the chest is useful. Some stuff obviously more useful, more powerful, but there's good rolls and there's bad rolls, we'll say.
Yeah.
But that's something I'm really excited to see how people interact with, and how the meta sort of forms around that.
I'm gonna beat you with the power of friendship in this gun I found.
Now you're just talking about my D&D characters.
But
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely, from somebody who's going to be in it, it definitely sounds fun, and I think I'm going to have a blast, because like I said, all I can really do as a fighter is run around and hit people, so I'm not going to take it overly seriously.
Right.
Because I know the moment I start running through like spells being fired at me is the moment it's like, yep, this is what I fully expected to start happening. So
I cast Disintegrate.
It's like, I am just a kobold. Like, but yeah, it's definitely sounds like a fun take on D&D, and I think we do have a good group of people involved. We all usually kind of shit talk each other sometimes during the games anyway, so I think it's going to be that same energy.
Trash talk is going to be important. I think that's a lot of the fun of it. It's just kind of the hype and the trash talk, and just having a good goofy time with it. And I really do think we're going to be able to pull some really, really awesome stuff out of this.
I do like the question in the Discord: is this canon? Like,
oh god,
that's a good question.
So we've got Tavern Chat, right, which is sort of like a canonical, like in between games.
The Tavern Chat for us deck would be our guild hall and our TTRPG channel, where it's just our general chat. So
and so people have been like, oh, did you see that poster about Kaedoria Klash? And I'm like, okay. I'm just gonna like hand wave it. There's no good way to make this canon. I'm thinking like dream sequence, like everyone gets high on mushrooms or something, and then you wake up and it's just a bonding experience. Or, I don't know, because simultaneously it's in so many various locales throughout this sort of Midnight Sea region that we've built.
Yeah, and
you're fighting to the death theoretically. So unless they've got people ready with revivify spells like after every fight, I mean, which I guess is theoretically possible.
You can just go full on. It's like the whole guild hall's abducted by aliens, put in a simulation, drop back off. Like,
I will figure it out. I mean, I'm not gonna worry too much about that.
It's like Pathfinder. Pathfinder has a full on, like, this is just a gray like stat block. Like Pathfinder's like what 5th bestiary was like, here's just all the cryptids.
Yep.
It was one of my favorite bestiaries for Pathfinder. I'm like, they just straight put in the Anunnaki and like all these ancient alien bullshit into Pathfinder.
Why not? Why not?
It's like a few pages down from the cyborg stat block. Like, but I mean, yeah, it's definitely like a not canon thing. This is like, it definitely feels like one of those Marvel comics like limited series of like Deadpool kills the Marvel universe or something like that.
Yeah, that's kind of the vibe I was going for.
Yeah, it's like it's not going to affect anything. It's just it's a little 4-issue side series.
Yeah, so I guess 2 other things I wanted to kind of mention is we talked about sort of the incentive to win. And so I was debating, I want to keep it friendly and goofy and fun, but also give people an incentive to give it their all and win. Yeah. And so I've got my rewards. I'm going to announce them probably the night of.
Okay.
And just to keep that hype. But I'm thinking 1st, 2nd, and 3rd place will all get rewards. And
the teams,
I kind of ran it.
Right?
The teams, yes, the teams. And so there's some pretty sweet stuff at stake, I'll say. Whether it be gold or experience or other rewards, we'll see. But I'm thinking 1st place team, 2nd place team, 3rd place team are all gonna get something out of this. And it'll be. I want to like spice it up without spoiling it. It will allow for some creativity, we'll say.
And Weewoo's throwing stuff into it, isn't it? Also, isn't it? Is Weewoo throwing in a prize?
Oh, I'm sorry. So I'm talking character prize.
Character-wise,
yes.
Okay.
But there are also like for contributors who are donating to the cause, we have stretch goals, and Weewoo is donating his own prize. So actually, that's the next thing I was going to talk about. So awesome segue.
Yeah.
So we do have some stretch goals as far as if we collectively as a community fundraise certain checkpoints, we're going to have sort of goofy unlocks or rewards or anything. So we've actually already raised $100 for this, which is super awesome, and we've reached our first checkpoint. So
that was on Thursday too, I think, during the during the session.
So we've had so just for people to be aware, we have a PayPal link that goes directly to our Tealeaf Adventuring Company bank account. We've got all of that live feed on the stream, so every time someone donates to the PayPal account, you'll see it tracking. After we close the fundraiser, take a screenshot of that amount, screenshot of when we, send the money over to Same You and all that, just to be totally transparent, because I know some people are a little like,
show us the receipts.
Exactly.
Receipts.
No. So we'll have that totally there. But yes, so $100 already raised. We've smashed our first goal. So Thursday night, Mr. Wee Woo is dressing up in a pickle costume.
Yeah.
Pickle Wee Woo. Funniest shit I've ever seen.
Funny.
But we've got a lot of other cool stuff, including a cosplay of my own. We've got some Tealeaf Point rewards. We've got some other stream ideas there. I've got a secret goal if we can raise $1,000.
Don't tempt me.
Oh, should I spoil that now? If
you don't
people
have that kind of money, Sharky.
I actually do. I have so much in saving right now. I feel good about it. It's like
you
don't
have
tempt
that
me.
much money in your savings.
I've got ideas. So we'll see. It's something I've been on the fence about for a long time, and this might just be my push that I got to do it. If my community can be that awesome, I might just have to go full send.
As somebody with their own thing on the fence about, is it a 3D printer?
I already have it. I already have a 3D printer.
I've been like really keeping this on my list for a long time. I'm like, one of these days.
But yeah, some really awesome stuff there. And then Wee Woo's actually got a really cool incentive. So he stepped up and to the individual top donor, so the individual who donates the largest cumulative sum amount. Speaking of 3D printing, Wee Woo and a lot of people in our community are big into that, and so they're going to order a custom, like, large metallic statue of your character or any character you want for that matter, full detailed. We was going to do the touch-ups on it, like a nice sort of like metallic finish to it, make it look like a trophy. So definitely like a high-end, really awesome prize for that.
Cool.
So looking forward to that, because Wee Woo does really awesome work with all his minis.
Could really do well with a big old Clang statue right here on my computer.
It would be actual size if you got Clang.
Yeah. A little 3-foot little Totodile boy. But yeah, so that's really cool. People have been coming up with some like really creative pledges. So when we've done fundraisers in the past, my go-to pledge, being the halfling guru here, is anytime anybody rolls a natural 1 throughout the entire tournament, I'm going to pledge $10. So we'll turn an unfortunate thing into a good thing.
Okay.
So now
are you ready for that, Luke? Because we have this like wild tendency to just roll natural ones in these sessions.
No. Whatever it comes out to, I will honor that. I believe Wee Woo stated in the Discord, anytime someone knocks Harper or Gordy down, they're going to donate. I forget if they gave a specific amount, but they're going to donate some sum of money towards that. It's kind of like a get at me bro sort of challenge, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And they're both really slippery characters too. That's a team to watch out for. But that's a cool one. And so if you can afford it, and if you want to have any sort of creative pledge, absolutely any amount is totally appreciated, and hopefully together we can do some pretty awesome.
Yeah, definitely. But anything from you, Deca?
I'm enjoying this kind of conversation here, mostly because, like, as I'm listening to it, I am not a big fan of like the West Marches as a concept, but I can't deny that you foster this group of people, you foster a community just kind of because of it, and it's really interesting to watch some of the fruits of that labor of, like you said, 3 years in the same world, where you get to do stuff like a charity PvP tournament with all the bells and whistles that you're describing. And,
with crowd favorite cast members. Like, I'm looking at the list of people, and it's like, these are people that like everybody in this community like knows. Like, these are characters that everybody loves. Because also at the end of each session, you have the viewers in Twitch vote for their favorite character during the session too, to get an extra tea leaf point that they can put towards things. So
I
it's just
wonder if
this
you have
fantastic.
a log of all of those polls. And you just look at it like, those are the popular characters. Slap them together.
Oh no, we used to track all that. So we had someone, a couple people working on what we call Tealeaf stats, kind of like crit roll stats, for a long time, like the first year and a half of it, tracking damage and healing and votes and all that sort of stuff. And it was really, really impressive to see like what characters rise and all that sort of thing. And then it just became such an upkeep for the juice. Just wasn't worth the squeeze, honestly. It was just so
Yeah.
much rewatching and calculating that we kind of fell off of it. But at one point we did have all that information, which is pretty cool. I just had something and I lost it. Uh, um,
Uh-huh.
what was I gonna say?
I mean,
It was
while you're thinking about it, I mean, it does gives a lot of credit to the community you have fostered, because I found you guys just scrolling through Twitch one night looking for a D&D stream while I was working on something else. And I think at the time you guys were near the top because it was during a day where there's no D&D going on. So it's like the top channels are like 20 viewers, 15 viewers. Like it was something like that. And I'm like, West Marches, because I was thinking at the time, I was like, I want to play in one, or I want to run one. Like I was starting to get into that kind of D&D. So I was like, I'm going to drop in and just see what's going on. And I mean, by the end of the night, I was in the Discord. I was talking to you in Discord, making a character to start playing. So it's just like, that's just how welcoming it was.
It's been a wild ride, and it is, you guys are right, it has been like a really big blessing just to kind of get people from, we have kind of our core group of people that are in the local area here, but like we've got people from different countries, different time zones, different states. It's been really, really, really awesome to get to know all these people and kind of have that really tight-knit group with a bunch of people with all the same thing in common. And like you said, it's kind of cool that people become sort of crowd favorites and get to know each other and kind of stand out like that. I think the chat favorite vote was one of the best ideas we ever implemented, just to kind of incentivize people and kind of low key, if you're trying to farm those tea leaf points, it incentivizes you to get your friends into it to vote for you, and then you end up watching inadvertently, and then you get interested, and then you join, and then they join. It kind of helps grow the pool of players, which is always kind of really fun.
I may have won a few contests doing that.
No, I'm totally aware of all that stuff.
No, not in your game. I took part in. There's a D&D creator on YouTube named Cinderblock Sally. He pops up in shorts every now and then. I joined his server for a little while because he was running like weekly homebrew creation contests. And as soon as the voting would start, I would get to my server. I was like, get in here and vote. So suddenly it'd be like 3 votes, 4 votes, 3 votes, 7 votes for me because all my friends dropped in. I think I won like 3 back to back, and I was like, I gotta stop. It's starting to look too sketchy. I was just like, get in here.
I truly don't think they care as long as they get.
They don't.
The views.
The interactions.
I had to leave. I left the server because it was just like the contests aren't running anymore, and now this guy's just using it to. It's his Discord, so I understand it. It's just like he's just using it to get people to do all his stuff, and I was like, no, I want my brain to make items. I want to make player races. And that's what started me doing all my documents that I update each month with stuff on them. So that's what got that. But I was just like, yeah, I've pulled my friends into things to be like, just come in here and vote for me.
We've definitely skewed a vote for.
Yeah, we've definitely. And I think one stream, you guys came in and voted for Clayton, at least one of them. So I am guilty of that.
Whatever it takes. Speaking of crowd favorites, I did remember what I wanted to say. I actually will be having kind of a last minute development. I will be having a co-commentator or color commentator for the tournament with me. It's going to be Toho, aka Kyle, aka Billiam, who is just a wonderful ball of chaos, and is actually pretty knowledgeable about D&D and all that stuff too. So it'll be really cool to have his insight and take on things, and we'll have short little pre and post fight interviews and all that with each team. So he'll help kind of spice that up a little bit. It's gonna be a good time.
Yeah it's definitely gonna be fun. I mean, Wish we had more time to do it, but I mean, it's a weeknight, and I know everybody in the server has almost full-time jobs, it feels like.
Right.
And there are some days I told you, I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna be home in time, so just give me like 15 minutes. Like,
yeah, that's the beauty of it, is it's this flexible, sort of low commitment, kind of loosey-goosey style game, and we just make it work with whoever we got.
I think last week it was like, I don't even know. You were like, I don't even know if I'm gonna be here later than the fucking session starting, so I don't even know if we're gonna do it tonight. They just told me I had to stay here for a meeting. So
I was like, okay, we're wrapping up. Nope. I was like speeding home, like gotta get there.
Yeah.
Shoving dinner down my throat. It's like, okay, let's do this.
But anything else, Deca, or
I think that's it on my end. A little shorter episode, but I mean,
it's definitely more of like a special.
Cause.
Like,
yeah. It's a good. It's all a good cause, and I came back to because community is very important for me as a former community runner and tournament organizer and all of that stuff. So it's good to see that the good vibes that I tried to foster are still out in the world. If that makes sense.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, it's definitely a great community. I mean, we all the players too, like we're all close. Like the session where Calbrina character died, like that Discord was in like turmoil for like 3 or 4 days because of it. So it was just like, we care about these characters, especially when your character's been in so many sessions with them, and like there's this in character like knowledge of each other, but you're also playing with these people for weeks and weeks over years. And it's just like, oh shit, that character's dead. Like,
it's the nature of the beast. It happens. Sometimes the dice are just evil, but
yeah. Like my first character, who so long ago I actually forgot his name.
Oh god, something with a V.
Something like that. It was my. I actually should have it in my server thing. No, because I have streaming mode on, so I don't know. But yeah, it was my bard. He was so short lived, I completely forgot his name. But like there was fostering a relationship with Nix's character and everything, and then it was like 4 sessions in, it's like, oh fuck, he's dead. So
our record is 2. Someone has died in their second session. It's a wild magic sorcerer, double fireball.
You come in at level 1, so.
Yep, it happens.
It happens. We have we've gotten better with the turnover rate, but there is a risk to new employees. So, but
what a wild thing for you to say like that.
Yeah. I do like the fact that even if a character dies, though, you come back at that level. On a set character, so
I've given people the choice, because it's taken some people almost 4 years coming up to get to like level 10, and to put in all that work and then have to start back over is pretty demoralizing. And so some people prefer it. Some people want to start fresh level 1. Some people want to pick up where they left off. And so I give people the option, which I think is definitely cool. And it also helps to kind of break up some of the I don't want to call them cliques, but especially like hero tier, a lot of these players that have been around since the beginning, they've been in a lot of sessions together. You kind of like it's good, that you build those bonds, but it's also good to break that up a little bit and get you playing and interacting with new people too, and kind of mix things up and shake it up a little bit. And so with the death mechanics, with the recruit mechanics, with sort of the alt mechanics and everything that we've got going on, helps to kind of keep things fresh and keep that shuffling, which is part of the fun, I think. What makes this so unique.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So I guess we're good here.
All right.
So if you want to watch that live stream, it will be, the date here is what, the 26th right now, 27th. So it'll be so right now it's the 27th. So the 28th of September, twitch.tv or twitch.tv/Tealeaf Adventuring Company. We'll also have a link in the description. About what, 6:30, 7ish?
Yeah. 6:30 p.m. Eastern time.
6:30 p.m. Eastern time. About 3 hours. Come watch. A nice little community beat the crap out of each other in D&D for charity.
It's
So-
gonna be
For a
awesome.
good cause. Yep.
or a good cause. Yeah, it's gonna be fun. Hopefully we can, reach a decent amount to give to this foundation.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it's definitely gonna be interesting to see what a basic fighter can do against some of these players, because I just looked at the other teams and I'm in danger. Like,
You got this. You got this.
so
Just start turn 1 rollout.
they have to hit me first at 23 AC. So
Oh, well then you're fine.
yeah, so I luckily have that going for me.
Well, I really appreciate you guys having me and taking the
Yeah,
time.
for sure.
And
Is it
always a
storming in your
pleasure.
area, Luke, or is that just
that's
like
just
lights on the window?
just traffic. Just
Okay, because I'm like seeing like the almost like the like when it rains, how you like expands on like the window. I'm seeing that on the window. And I'm like, is it storming over there?
No, I have a street directly across from my house. So whenever someone pulls out of that,
Fair enough. But yeah, yes, Luke, thank you for coming on just short notice. Also, I think I messaged you on Monday. I was like, hey man, you doing anything Wednesday?
let's do it. Let's do it.
And
Let's
I was like, oh, I want to kind of spread the word about this fundraiser, but this episode's going up the day before, so I don't know how good it's going to do.
Whoa.
But hopefully we can get people into watch and enjoy and get them involved with the community, because I have seen we have had some new people join over the last few weeks, like here and there.
Mhm.
But I do want to see some new faces in the server also.
Oh yeah, always welcome. Always welcome.
Yeah, so thank you all for watching this episode. A little bit shorter, but this is definitely just a go watch this stuff for a good cause. And support the Tealeaf Adventuring Company, support sameu.org. And yeah, we would definitely appreciate it if you all could donate anything, just no matter how small, just any donation helps.
Just show up and stream and talk shit to the players that are losing.
Just
Do it.
show up, hang out and chat with the community,
Yeah.
just have us on a separate monitor while you're doing whatever. Just everything will help with, visibility and all that.
Mhm.
So,
Good stuff.
all right, Luke, thank you for being here. Deca, thank you for joining me as well.
Thank you guys.
On your side, I know you don't really have much lean in this community, but it's always nice having you here on the show for other questions and stuff like that.
Absolutely. Fresh perspective. It's always nice.
What was
Yeah.
that about lean?
Well, yeah, we don't have any lean
Nope,
in
we
this
got shut
community.
down. We got shut down already.
All right, guys. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you hopefully next week. So take care, everybody.
Bye.